Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Everybody, welcome back. Thank you for being here today for Voices of Manadnock. This is a video podcast that is a collaborative effort between the greater, oh God, I struggle with this so much. The Greater Manadnock Collaborative Chamber of Service. No.
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. And Manadnock Family Services. That's where the service came from. That's where I work. I'm the project manager for Trauma Response of Manadnock. And it's been a day. So, but thank you for being here anyway. And we are here to talk today with Denise Dragon. You are a resident of Surrey?
That is correct.
Of Surrey. I think you're my first Surrey person here on the show.
Perfect.
So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And you run a fabulous program for therapeutic riding. But before we get into that, tell me about your background in the Manadnock area. Are you a long-time person here?
I am not. I'm actually from the other side of the mountain. So grew up, came from Massachusetts and grew up in Derry. Graduated way back in the day from Pinkerton Academy. Raised my kids in Litchfield, and then I moved over here about 11 years ago.
Okay, why? What brought you here?
Out work. So I found myself driving from Litchfield all the way over to Keene. Made the move. And
that got old real fast, I'm sure.
That got old real fast, and now here I am. So.
Okay, and how has it been for you being here in the Manadnock region?
It took a while to get used to 20 minutes to go to the grocery store, or 40 minutes to what I used to say was see civilization, because I was a city girl. But now, I really like it. I work from home now, so everything's really quiet, and I find that if I do have to go to town, it's very people-y. So
right, because home is a farm, so you're really used to quiet and isolation and the opposite of city life now.
That's right. If I need a break from work, I can just walk outside and play with the dog or play with the horse and then go back in. So
nice. So tell me, how did you end up a city girl with a stable?
Always loved horses, grew up loving horses. My grandmother supported that throughout my years, and then had kids and put that on hold for a while. Unfortunately, none of my children really fell in love with horses, so I didn't get that excuse to be able to take them to the barns.
Right.
So when I finished paying for my youngest college, called her up and said, "The money's gone, I bought a horse." So it's been about 6 years. I bought my first horse, and she's still with me today, and just fell in love with the whole lifestyle all over again. And she was boarded for about a year, and my husband built a barn to bring her home, and then it's like chips, they just keep getting added. So we're up to 8 right now.
Wow.
On site. You
went from 0 horses to 8 horses.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a big jump. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's good work though.
Yeah. So. Well, it's obviously you found what you love to do.
Right. Yeah.
So is this your job now?
No, I actually work full time I'm a production scheduler for a candle company out of Milford called Aileen Candles.
I know them. Okay.
So I work from home, and then my second full-time job has become Freedom Reins. So.
Okay, cool. Tell me more about that.
So before I started Freedom Reins and I had bought my horse, I was looking to volunteer, give back. It's just something I grew up doing, and once I got established over here, I kind of looked around, and there was another therapeutic program running in the Keene area at the time that I volunteered for. Okay. And I did that for 2 years. And then they shut down due to COVID and never really got their bearing again after that. By then, I had 3 horses on my property. I was good friends with people that were part of that program. And when it was decided that program wasn't going to continue, light bulb went off and said, wait a minute, I think we can do this. And thank God my husband is supportive as he is, because he built an outdoor arena in a weekend.
Wow.
And we started in 2022. I just put it on Facebook. Like we had to go through all the paperwork with the state and all that stuff. Everybody had to get certified, and put it on Facebook. and within 2 weeks we had a waiting list.
Oh my gosh.
So it was just
it's incredible.
It's incredible the need for a program like this just in the Manadnock area. The closest program to us is either over Temple Mountain or up in Newport. Unfortunately, the other programs that were like Southern Vermont and stuff closed because of COVID, the incredible amount of rain and weather issues we had over the last 2 years, and obviously costs. Horses are very expensive.
Yeah. So tell me more about exactly what it is that your program does that is in such high demand that you had a wait list like that.
I know.
That fast.
It's a blessing in disguise. So we provide therapeutic horseback riding lessons to people with either physical or mental challenges.
Okay.
I believe the demand comes from the fact that there's so many people out there that aren't into group sports. So our biggest class would be 2 individuals. You know, we try and keep it very one-on-one, depending on the need of the rider. They get an individual attention, and it allows that person to work on whether it's a physical challenge or a mental challenge in the privacy that they deserve. Most of our participants have some type of sensory issue, so they can't go to the movies or go on field trips like a lot of kids do. Summertime is a struggle because going to the beach can cause issues. You know, it's too hot, it's too cold. Sometimes it's as simple as the wind blowing bothers them. So there's a lot of struggles that people, I don't think, are really aware of, and we see that come out when they come to the farm. So yeah.
Wow. So you really are, this is like, it's recreation, it's exercise, it's therapy, it's a whole lot of things all rolled together for people who don't really have other outlets for that sort of thing.
You know, our group of clients, it's such a struggle not only for them but also for their families. You know, we have a couple of acres that are wide open, and maybe your child comes and I have them in a lesson and you have 2 or 3 little ones that are with you. So we try and also make it enjoyable for the entire family. You know, we have a sandbox the smaller kids can play in. We have a sensory path that if we're not on with the horses, we invite the family go up for a hike. You know, it's a 1/4 of an acre path that they can go up and explore. We have a brook that runs down the side of the property, so obviously kids are going to go in there and try and catch fish. So there's a lot there. Some parents will say this is the only break they get during the day because the individual working with does take a lot of time and energy, mental and physical. So we try and make it as easy as we can for the entire family when they come, and also give that individual what they need out of those lessons.
That's really nice. How many people do you have doing this besides yourself?
So there's 4 instructors. We all work part-time.
Yeah.
We all have full-time jobs. And then we have right now about 25 volunteers from the community, which we could not do this without them.
I can imagine.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So what do you love about it? What's your favorite thing about doing this?
You know, I love horses. I grew up loving horses, so the fact that I get to be with them, handle them every day, that's a blessing in disguise. But every once in a while, you'll see a rider with a breakthrough, and nobody else gets to see that, and that is such a privilege. You know, when we have a nonverbal child that by the end of the 6-week session will say even just one word, you know, we get to feel like we've accomplished that, you know, and we get to see the joy on their face and the reaction from the family. And, you know, we're basically trying to take the therapeutic part out of the office. You know, I love your couch, but I wouldn't want to sit here and tell you everything I'm thinking.
Good, because I'm not a therapist.
Right, yeah. So, you know, I'm not a therapist either, and I don't claim to be, but I've seen the miracles that occur when somebody is on a horse and they finally can let their guard down and they feel comfortable and they're in an environment that they can share.
That's so wonderful. That sense of safety. I mean, I love therapy, and I think therapy comes in so many forms.
Absolutely.
And not every form is right for everybody. And to
Right.
find something I mean, I don't know any of the specific science around the benefits of equine therapy, but I've heard of it for years and years, that there are all sorts of studies.
Yep.
Horses are good for people in a certain way that,
Correct.
you know, nothing else is quite that. And
Yep.
so for the person who needs just that to find that, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
And must be...
I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Luca. You need to come out.
I know, right? And everybody who's watching or listening to this needs to
Absolutely.
come out and check out the place. Huh?
Absolutely.
So what happens if somebody shows up and you know, what would that look like for someone to come out and see your place?
So what we do is usually people will contact us via email, and I always recommend to the parent, or if it's the participant, to come out before they sign up for lessons. Come out and meet us. There are times when people will get there and it's just too much for the child. They're either not ready, or they're scared of the horse, or they're scared of whatever.
Right.
You know, so I always recommend, especially if it's an autistic child, to bring them out first. Let us meet them. They'll introduce them to the horses. I mean, we're all over the place with doing pony rides throughout the year. And we go and visit Cedar Crest, and we go and visit Rise for Baby. Yep.
Okay.
But we've had quite a few events out on Main Street where we're out there doing pony rides. So
I want to go on a pony ride.
oh, come on over. So a lot of our clientele actually comes from that, because they'll come up and they'll say, oh, we're not sure if they'll try it. And I would say my team, we have never been unsuccessful getting someone on a horse.
Nice.
Even if you're scared, that's okay. You know, we'll get you on that horse and we'll take one step so you can see how it's going to feel. Maybe we take 2 steps and we stop, and there's always the option to get off. We never make anyone feel like, oh, you gotta go back and forth and then you can get off. And we just find that it always works. We take 1 or 2 steps, and then they'll say, okay, take a couple more. And then we'll say, do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to go down the path? Do you want to go say hi to mom and dad? You know, kids seem to think it's very funny to have the horses go up to their parents. And that's fine if that's what it takes. And shortly thereafter, they usually will sign up for a lesson.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I remember years ago talking to somebody, he was a single dad with a daughter, and he said that when she was young, he put her in horseback lessons because he wanted his female child to know that she had power, had control over such a big animal, because she would never feel too small or too weak as an adult woman if she had that concept of herself as being able to control a horse.
Yep, and it's true. And, you know, we have a lot of parents that will say, you know, have your daughter fall in love with the horse and she'll never get in trouble with boys or drugs or
she'll
alcohol.
Never fall in
you know,
love with boys.
That's because there'll never be any money to go do any of that. You know, they're very expensive. But, you know, the growing up, going to horse farms and stuff like that, they have to be a no drama type place. Horses don't have any room for that. When you're attached, whether you're on the ground or on their bodies, to an 1,800-pound animal, you can't be messing around.
Right.
There's no screeching. There's no throwing a fit. There's no throwing of anything. You know, it's very controlled, and that's how you help kids and individuals build that self-confidence.
Right.
When we go from I'm attached with a lead on lesson 1 and walking you around and telling you what you need to do, to I'm going to unclip and now you're in charge, and you see that, most of the kids will kind of get scared, and we'll say, take a deep breath, you know what you're doing, check your body, check yourself, is everything good? All right, let's go. And you just see them literally will rise up because they're in control. And even though you may have a leader or a sidewalker walking beside you the whole time, you're in control of this horse.
Yeah.
And you've learned it, and you've earned the right to be able to do this. And it's a privilege for them, you know, and usually by the end of the 6-week session, you know, you see the change in the child. Maybe they were really quiet at first and didn't really speak very loud, and we say, no, you got to make it loud enough to see that horse's ear move so you know the horse can hear you. Sometimes I'll say, come on, I know you fight with your brother, I want to hear that voice. Those are the commands. So we try to teach them to be very clear about what they're asking, use that loud outside voice, and control your body at the same time. And that's a lot of work.
Well, it's a lot of work, and it's also a lot of really good life lessons.
It is.
Right there. I mean, even just the idea of being able to control the animal, you have to have an amount of control over yourself.
That's right.
In order to do that. And so it's the confidence, but it's also like the responsibility.
Yeah.
I have to manage myself so that I can manage this animal, because if it gets unmanaged, things here will be not so good. And so, but that like kind of proving to people, I can manage myself. That in itself is a lesson that there's not a lot of places necessarily in our lives nowadays where that lesson really gets reinforced.
I agree. And the other part of it too is time management, which even as adults, I mean, I'll say I still struggle with it sometimes. I think everybody does, but they're there for a certain amount of time, and it's the same process every time they show up. Who's your horse? That's your horse. Get the gear. You have to brush it a certain brushes you use as a process. You put the gear on, you get mounted on the horse. We say whatever our goal is for that day, for that lesson, the end of the lesson, you're going to get off that horse. You're going to go in reverse now. You're going to help take off the tack. You're going to rebrush the horse. Maybe it needs to go in the paddock. Maybe it needs to be fed dinner. If you're willing to stay, you can help us do that. So we try and get them to do as much as possible, even though we have volunteers there to help. As the child or participant gets a little bit more independent, we want to keep them at that level. So we'll just say, that person's not going to help you today. They're just going to walk with you. What are our steps? And we have them repeat and repeat and repeat. And usually by week 3 or 4, they're like, I got this. Okay. And we all kind of, I tell the volunteers, now you're in hover mode. So I may say to them halfway through a lesson, stop walking with them and come to the middle of the arena with me. And just stand there and get out of the way so the rider's completely independent. And remind them, you have to check yourself. How is your body? How is the horse responding? That's the other thing that we need them to key into. Horses have good and bad days just like we do. If your horse that is usually walking a little bit faster isn't really walking that fast today, why do you think that is? Maybe they're being a little bit lazy and you can use your body to get them to go a little bit faster. Or is something wrong? And we try to teach them that. You're taking care of a live animal. You're asking this live animal to do something. So you need to be aware. And it's very rare that they don't have the same horse every week. We try and keep those things consistent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some of our riders need that consistency. Others, it's the best horse for whatever their disability or challenge is. So there's a lot that can come out of these lessons. And the other part of it is the parents aren't really involved. We try and have them find a place to sit so they can watch, zip your lip. They have to listen to the instructor. There's times we have to remind them that they have to listen to the instructor. And then, the kids can grow from that. The participants can grow from it. It's amazing to see. And now that we're in our 3rd year and we have some riders that have been with us all 3 years, I mean, we just started back up in the beginning of April. They show up, I'm like, my God, you grew like 3 inches. When did that happen? Because we're only open from April to the end of October.
Right. Well, okay, first of all, that just all sounds so fantastic. I mean, you've got me completely converted. I want to ride. I want my daughter to ride. Like, it's just
perfect.
Why is this not in our lives? But it's so obvious, the value of it, the benefit of it. I mean, to people with special needs, yes, and to anybody, really. I mean, it's just one of those human things. Like, why do we have dogs for pets? Dogs are good for people. Cats are good for people. Horses are good for people. You know, there's no downside here, except for how much it costs.
They are expensive.
But so that said, you just mentioned you're open 6 months out of the year, which I believe is because you're just an outdoor arena, right?
So
what's your big vision?
We got so many things. So right now we are operating just out of an outdoor arena, and we purchased 5 acres that is adjacent to the property.
Okay.
Right now, cleared on that acreage is it's about a 1/4 mile sensory path. So we had support from Carlisle Wood Floors, called them up and said, don't throw all your wood away. Can you make us signs? Can you So I went there last year and saw a bunch of these big, huge, hulking guys painting boats and painting smiles. And so those are hung up all over the path, which is great. So we've started to clear the acreage to get an indoor. So that is going to take approximately $1 million.
Oh my God, literally $1 million?
Literally just under $1 million. Ooh. And it's because, and I'm not a contractor, but it's because the size of the building, the size of the space. So we're looking for 80 by 180. And those buildings there's few and far between. So anybody in the area knows there's a couple barns that have indoor arenas, and they've been out there for 30, 40, 50 years. The difference with our program is we're trying to get this built, and then when that happens, the land will get signed over to the nonprofit so that they will own the land, own the building, not have to worry about going somewhere else.
Right.
And they can run that business and keep it going till I'm gone.
Right.
One of the big challenges in the area with the previous programs is they were renting space at indoors, and horse people can be finicky. I'll just leave it at that. So that is our business plan, is we bought the property and we'll donate it to the nonprofit if we can get that indoor built, and then it will survive, I hope, long after I'm around.
Well, it sounds wonderful, and clearly it's something that's needed in the area. There's a demand for it.
There's a huge demand for it.
And nobody else is meeting the demands at all right now. Right. So.
And where we are getting a large percentage of our clientele from medical professional referrals, that's not going to go away.
Yeah.
The mental health crisis, everybody has seen that, go through the roof. Ever since COVID, I think it's gotten a little bit worse. And we're offering an activity that can be outside. In the indoor, it would be during the winter. They'd be inside. But there's a lot to be said about getting these participants outside in the fresh air, away from electronics.
Yeah.
To focus on a horse. So.
Yeah. Wow. Well, big vision.
Big
I love
plans.
It. So as far as what you're looking for that, I want to just go ahead and kind of stump for you for this right now. So you need volunteers, you need donations. What do you need to help make this happen?
We need it all. We always need more volunteers. There's always work to be done. There's always classes that need volunteers. We do have some that come and just do barn chores, and we have some that come and help with the participants. So that's great.
What sort of knowledge base do you need to help at that level?
You don't need any.
Okay.
We will train you.
Okay.
So, and we have some parents that come and bring their kids to do chores, and they're trying to teach them to be responsible and clean. Everybody wants a pony, but they don't always realize how much work it is. And then as far as helping with the lessons, we do it's about an hour and a half of training to teach you to be a sidewalker. And then about another hour specifically if you want to be a leader, which means you're responsible for the horse. So most of our volunteers didn't have prior horse experience.
Okay.
Everybody likes horses, but they can be scary to handle. And our horses are not, I don't want to say they're special. They are special. So most of our horses are older, kind of been there, done that. Right. They have to have the correct temperament. It takes a long time for us to find a horse for the program. We don't want them too young. We don't want them too spicy,
Right.
Not all horses like little kids. Little kids can be noisy and touching them everywhere and kind of jumping around. And, some horses, it makes them nervous, just like a dog, just like a cat. But the horses can't go hide. So it takes a while for us to find these horses. So right now we have an amazing group that really tolerate a lot. And one of the bonuses is we let our volunteers ride for free. So
nice.
That's a
very
good one.
Motivating.
That's my selling point.
Yeah, I bet it is.
As far as donations go, it's just like every other nonprofit. Our yearly budget right now is about $50,000, and we're able to cover that with donations we receive, revenue from the services. We do a lot, like I said, we go out and do a lot of events. We did the ice festival. We did an event down at the airport on St. Patrick's Day. We have some type of fundraiser going all the time. Our next big one coming up is a golf tournament that's going to be at Brentwood, which is August 23rd. We have a fall festival that's going to be October 19th at the Cheshire Fairgrounds. So we're always doing something to raise money to keep it going.
It's really cool, but also what I'm thinking as I listen is, like, this program existed, it stopped, you kind of picked it up and made it your own and relaunched it, but it's really, you know, your work that's made it happen, and yet I hear a lot of support from the community behind it, and to me that's the whole, that Manadnock thing that we come back to again and again, that people are collaborative, they work together, they care about each other, and this just seems like the perfect example of that.
I mean, I'm going to throw the Surrey flag out there. I can't say enough about the community in Surrey. Like, people have been amazing. If I put something out there that I'm looking for, it gets, all of a sudden it's dropped off in my front lawn. We have a couple that gave us basically the right to hay their field, which cuts our costs down significantly. Instead of having to pay you know, retail price for the hay. That's a huge savings. You know, the Surrey community has been great. Cheshire Horse is a huge supporter of the program. Whenever we needed equipment or helmets or you know, discount on the grain that we buy, you know, they're right there with us. So
nice.
Now we're going to be reaching out to the community and saying, hey, we need money. We need either, you know, a benefactor to step up would be wonderful. But besides that, we're going to be writing grants. We're in the grant process with just about every large employer in the Keene area that has foundations, trying to raise this money to build the indoor.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, Denise. I love knowing that this exists. I love what it stands for. I love the way that you're doing your part. You know, I work in this trauma responsive Manadnock program, but this is trauma responsive Manadnock right here. Like, people like you who are just saying, hey, there's people who have a need. There's people with these challenges. Here's something I can do about it. We can work together to do something about it. And it's not this great big roar, all these. It's just, hey, let's just ride horses.
Yeah, we're not a big machine. So.
I love it. Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And thanks for doing what you do and being one of these perfect examples of this is our area and what we do and what we stand for. And anybody who's watching or listening, please consider how you might want to get involved or support Freedom Reigns in Surrey, New Hampshire. And they can, find you online? And
we're on Facebook.
Okay.
We have a website, frnh.org.
Okay.
You know, you can find us in the phone. So we're everywhere. If you're looking for us, I think I'm now known as the Horse Lady in Keene.
There you go.
We have flyers and business cards everywhere. So yeah, just reach out.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you again next time.